Hey pllesties, which one of you freaks is watching this on the TV? I saw that in the stats of my last video, and that's a horrific image. Oh my god. Anyway, in the last video you got an overview of like what PLAVE is about, and now I'm sure you're dying to become a fan. But do you really have what it takes? Let's talk about fandom etiquette, PLAVE's insane way of using Bubble, an overall guide to their content, and very importantly, everything you need to know about the units. Enough yapping, let's start yapping. If you want to be on PLAVE's nice list rather than their naughty list, and I know it sounds very tempting to want to be on a naughty list, but in this case, naughty means getting blocked and blacklisted with your full government name or even sued. I'm here to tell you about some of their official rules as well as some unspoken rules or fandom etiquette so that you can be sure that you're contributing to a good fandom experience for everyone, including the group themselves. And also to not get your TikTok or Twitter account suspended. This is not your typical K-pop company. This legal team will take action. There are two official rules set by the company. The first one pertains to every one of us, and the second one for those who go and see them in their pre-recordings for music shows. So the first rule that they enforce is that you should not share any information about PLAVE that PLAVE themselves or the company haven't shared. If you like VTubers, you should be very familiar with this. For those who are not, please only talk about the things that PLAVE themselves have talked about or the company in interviews or something like that. Because that's kind of the whole point of being virtual. If you don't know that much about the Korean entertainment industry, just know that it is very common to have quote-unquote scandals about very benign things such as having a pimple. They also have a huge problem with stalker fans. So being able to pursue their dreams of making music without being subjected to that is a very precious and special thing, and the company definitely makes sure to protect that. It also doesn't really matter if you mean to say it in a positive or negative way, though they will come after you harder if you do it in a negative way. But anyway, now you know. The second rule is for everyone who attends stuff like pre-recordings for their music show appearances. It's like when you see in a music show where a bunch of fans are cheering as they perform. You have to go through several steps in order to get there, and you have to be kind of lucky. So they really take it seriously, and usually, or pretty much always, when you attend those pre-recordings, you also get gifts, like snacks, photo cards, sometimes even a lunchbox. I think one time they even gave out a blanket. And you're supposed to go to the pre-recording, but when you go just to get the gifts and then you bounce, they will find you and they will blacklist you, so you can't do it again. Anyway, these were the two rules by the company themselves that I could think of. Of course, in the live stream, they also have the basic rule of don't cuss, don't use inappropriate language, don't cuss out the members or the staff. But I would hope that you already know not to do that. Now, there are also some unspoken rules, or I will refer to them as fandom etiquette. Just basically do's and don'ts for everyone so that everyone's comfortable. Again, including the group. One I've mentioned in a previous video, which is to separate shipping content from not shipping. You do that by using different ways of writing their names. You don't use their official names, you don't use their official unit names, but you use ship variants of their names. And this way, when someone does search for their official names, then the ship content doesn't come up. And then on the flip side, if someone's looking for ship content, they can specifically look for it. Anyway, there are a few more rules to make sure that you're a nice plea. In a live stream, but also in their official content, interact and talk about the members that are there. And conversely, don't randomly start talking about the members that aren't there or asking about them, because it's pretty rude. It makes the others that are there feel like you don't appreciate their presence. It's also imagine you show up somewhere, you take the time out of your day to clock in and to be there, and they just don't seem to care that it's you. It's kind of mean, isn't it? On a similar note, during the live streams, stick to the topic of the live stream when you're commenting. When they're playing a game, talk about the game. When they're listening to music, talk about the music. When they're dancing, talk about them dancing. You can imagine the chat also being like a conversation with them. And it's odd if you're doing something and the person you're having a conversation with keeps talking about some other unrelated thing. Similarly, unless they are asking for requests, don't just start requesting stuff from them. That's not the time and place. They have a program. They plan each of these live streams months in advance. Sometimes they will ask for requests like, hey, what kind of song do you want us to sing right now? Or do you have any thoughts to share? And then you can do that. You can do it according to what they said. But if you do have suggestions, if there's something that you really want to see, the company actually has a form on their website where fans can send them suggestions. And to be honest, all of them are on social media quite a lot, so there's a good chance that if you post about it, someone might read it, and who knows, maybe something will come true. In general, I would also avoid being sarcastic to them, especially if it's not in their language, because irony and sarcasm, first of all, you need to build up some sort of trust between each other in order to make these kind of jokes and make sure that they land. But secondly, it just gets lost in translation. Matter of fact, actually, like, don't use sarcasm with people you don't know in general. Like, for example, if this is the first time you're commenting on my videos and you're saying something sarcastically, there's a good chance that I won't understand and I will have to ask myself, okay, are you being serious right now or not? On the topic of fan and fan interactions, if you find something that you want to share, avoid re-uploading it without permission. And I mean stuff like fan arts and fan edits. And when you do get the permission, of course, make sure that you credit them properly and link back to their original post. Oh, another thing that's very important is that PLAVE has always had people who just don't like their concept and people who say rude and mean things about PLAVE, and you should avoid engaging with these people. A lot of those are actually just farming for engagement, particularly on Twitter. You actually get paid sometimes, like if you have the premium version. And so a lot of the times the hate isn't even genuine. So the best thing that you can do is to report and block. Don't engage with these people, don't give them more energy, don't give them a platform. If you're upset about something, try and find someone to talk to privately about it and to vent and maybe journal about it. Because I truly believe that, especially because most of us are adults, our time is very limited. And I truly wish for all of us to make sure that that precious time is spent on precious things and precious people. Another tip I want to add in that line is that you should remember and keep in mind that all 5 of the PLAVE members are grown adults. You don't necessarily need to see them like babies. They themselves have actually said that they're fine. And their song Virtual Idol is about how haters turn into people that are curious, turn into people that are fans. And if anything, they are more worried about us fans being so upset. And they don't want us to feel hurt for being their fan. And that's why they work really hard to become idols that are so good and so talented that no one can ever be embarrassed to be their fan. That no one can ever tell a PLAVE fan, oh, what you're standing is weird, because their talent and skill is just so undeniable. And I think they're very much on the right track for it. Anyway, the rapid fire version. Never ever mention ship content on any of their official content. Stick to the things that they have said about themselves. Stick to what and who you are seeing. Pay the haters no mind. Oh, and the most important part, have fun! There's no rule about how much content you have to watch, how many things you need to buy, how many facts you're supposed to know. None of those metrics make you any less of a fan. They've said it many, many times. All they want at the end of the day is to just make you smile. And by following the rules and the etiquette, we can really make sure that they are also comfortable with us and we are comfortable with each other. If you see anyone acting a little bit out of line, you don't have to be mean to them, just send them this video. Actually, as a treat, please do me a favor and go into the search bar up top and search for PLAVE cute moments. And then just enjoy yourself for like 5 minutes and smile, because that's what they want. Or maybe do it for an hour. I don't judge. I've done the same today. and I'll do it again tomorrow. PLAVE's bubble is easily one of the most bang for your buck options that you have on the Bubble app. I mean, just look at how much they're yapping. This is just a few days worth of messages. Very few idols yap as much as they do and use the app as much as they do. So let me run through what each member's bubble is like, and then step by step how to subscribe to their bubble. So spoiler, even though it's not super expensive, it is not free. However, you don't need to get FOMO because the best messages are usually secretly / not so secretly shared by our lovely fans. For those of you who don't know, Bubble is basically a chatting app with your idol, but before you get too excited, they don't know who's sending them what message. It's basically anonymous. So all the messages that they receive look the same to them, and they can insert your nickname that you set at the beginning, like a placeholder. So it's kind of like a your name fanfiction basically. And if you don't know Korean, don't be worried as well. They have an inbuilt translation. It is auto-translated and it'll look like this. And as you can see here, they can send you voice messages as well. When you play them in the app, it looks like this. When you export them, they change to a pink background, which is what you tend to see online. PLAVE really talks so much on that fucking app. And even though Uno has the image of a yapper, the one who talks the most is actually Yijun. By the way, this is their handwriting font pack that you can also buy. He talks pretty much every day and sends like a ton of small little messages. Here he's talking about cooking food. And the really nice thing about the fact that he sends a lot of little messages is that in between you can respond. On Bubble, you cannot send as many messages as you want. You are limited to 3 messages after the artist has sent 1. Meaning, the more messages they send, the more messages you can send. There's also a limit to how long your messages can be, and the character limit increases the more days you are subscribed to an artist. So keeping your streak may be worth it for you. Yejun's bubble feels like a blog almost because he tends to talk about what happens to him every day, what he's been thinking about, what he's been doing. He shares any interesting stories on there as well. And of course, there is no shortage of a lot of sweet nothings. He is very affectionate. Oh, by the way, when you send a message and they read it, you can see it. But you can't see if they read your message specifically. Basically, you see that they opened the app and that they unopened the messages. Next up, Eunho talks a lot on Bubble as well. And this is perfect for anyone who wants to feel like he's literally your boyfriend. There was one comment on YouTube on a PLAVE video that said that someone subscribed to all of their Bubble accounts, and they very quickly realized that all members are really good at expressing affection, but especially Eunho. And that person commenting said that they sometimes get flustered because they themselves are a man. So yeah, no one's immune to Eunho's boyfriend treatment. Other than excessively flirting, he also talks about his everyday life and music he really likes. He sings a lot on the app and is overall super affectionate. However, there's a bit of a caveat that Eunho's activity can go up and down depending on how close they are to a comeback. The closer they are and the busier they are with preparations, the quieter he gets. So usually the best time to subscribe to Eunho's bubble is right after the comeback. He's super excited right now and like super bubbly, or after a big event like a concert. So these two are the ones who talk the most, and this is really good also if you want to send them a lot of messages, because you are limited to sending only 3 messages per one message that they send. So the more little messages they send, the more opportunities you have to send something back. Hamin is another great option if you want consistent messages. He says pretty much good morning every morning, except when they're really busy. He sends these really cute cat stickers. And he always talks formally. He's so polite and so cute. He doesn't send as many voice messages. Most of them are actually with other members. Noah and Bambi both text a little bit less frequently, and it can be a little bit random, and like a lot of voice messages are from them working out and breathing into the microphone, if that's what you like. But as you can see, they're still very, very sweet. Now, how do you get access? You go on your App Store or Play Store and you look for the app Bubble with Stars. This is what it looks like. After downloading, you will register and you will see a bunch of these artists and you will not find PLAVE probably in there. So you go up here in the search bar and they will pop right up when you type in PLAVE, all 5 of them. To start subscribing, you click on one of them and then this is what their profile page looks like. And then at the bottom, you can't really see, it says add as Bubble friend. Once you hit that, you will come to the ticket pages. My first warning, it is an auto-renewing subscription, meaning every month it will automatically extend unless you cancel it. To get access to a chat, you basically need a ticket, and one ticket here is in euros, 4 euros, and you can use one ticket to access one chat. However, they have these 5 different packs, and what's a bit weird is you can only buy one at a time, meaning you need to decide from the start how many tickets you want, because you can't just add one ticket afterwards because there is only one ticket option. So if you want to subscribe to all 5 of them, you have to basically get the 5 ticket options, or for some weird reason you can buy 2 and 3, I guess. But whatever, I'm not going to do the math for you. You need to decide at the beginning how many you want, because if you cancel, you also lose your streak. When you lose your streak, you go back to 0 and can't write as long messages, but also there is a special anniversary message that you also won't get. Like if you have 100, 200, 300 days with them, they will send you a special message. Anyway, that's it actually. I realize I haven't talked too much about Bambi's bubble, so let me do that real quick. As you can tell, he does message the least frequently, the most cryptically, but it is oddly beautiful. Like he will go on a hike and he will record the sounds of the nature. Anyway, to summarize, the bubble is really fun, and I think if you have the money, feel free to spend it. You can live out your little Delulu life, but the thing is, just know they do send quite a lot of messages. And you really don't have to feel bad if you don't want to buy it, or if you want to cancel it after a while. They're not going to be mad about it, I promise. Oh, by the way, another thing, if you're practicing Korean and you want to use the bubble to practice Korean, my definite ranking is Hamin is the easiest to understand and speaks very clearly and correctly, then followed by Yejun, who is very eloquent, and then the last 3, they can use so much slang and puns, your head might be spinning. They also use a lot of aegyo in their messages, and that can sometimes lead to translation error or just make it really difficult to follow along. So they are more for advanced speakers. Damn, this video is so fucking long. You know, I was like, oh, they're yapping so much. Just fucking look at me right now. How do you find and keep up with PLAVE content if you don't speak Korean? So I'm not fluent in Korean, but I know just enough to have figured it out for you. I do still get asked this. The live streams are on PLAVE's YouTube channel, and you can access all of them here. Right here. They used to only have computer-generated auto-translation, and with how many insider jokes and how much slang PLAVE uses, it was terrible. But now they got enough money to hire human translators, and not just for English, but for 8 different languages. They have Chinese, English, Indonesian, Japanese, Korean, Spanish, Thai, and Vietnamese. That is crazy! And they have it about 7 to 10-ish days after a stream was released. So for pretty much almost all of the streams of 2024 up until now have subtitles. And to be honest, that's a little bit insane to me because those are literally over 2 hours worth of content. Besides the live streams, obviously there are also other video formats like the Lasco variety show that also obviously comes subbed from the start in 8 different languages. And every now and then they also release highlight compilations where they edit the best moments of a stream. But how do you know when they stream? Like VTubers, they have created a monthly scheduler at the beginning of every month. They post it in the YouTube post tab as well as on Twitter and maybe on other platforms as well. I will get to which platforms PLAVE uses. But anyway, in the monthly scheduler, for March, it's a little bit more empty because they are pausing the streams. You will see when they planned which fixed content. This is not everything that they do. They actually do more stuff. It's just not scheduled. And then every week they have the weekly scheduler where you can see which members appear on which day. Now, in general, PLAVE's accounts are always called PLAVE_official. But if you really want to be sure, and if you're just curious about which pages they use, this is an overview. If you go on blast.com/plave and you scroll all the way down, you can access all of these links. For those of you who don't know Weverse, it's basically their fan cafe. It is a platform where they can talk to us directly. I'm pretty sure you can sign up for it for free, and then you can also get like a premium tier. To be honest, I don't really get it. So if there's any helpful plea who wants to explain that a little bit more, feel free to do that. And most reliably is on their Twitter account, which is also plave_official. The reason why I like this one is because they also post stuff from other accounts, or like they retweet from other accounts. For example, if they showed up on like an Mnet show or something, they can retweet that post by the Mnet account. On here you can also find their written notices if something happens, so you don't necessarily need to be on Weverse. However, you might be asking, Minya, this was all in Korean. I don't speak Korean. Well, lucky for us, other people do, and they translate almost in real time. So there isn't one translation account, but there are multiple fans who just out of the goodness of their heart decided to share updates and translations. They are also on TikTok, but I find it easier to stay really, really up to date, like literally getting translations of the live streams as they happen on Twitter. I have compiled them. If you go on Twitter and go to these 3 dots on the top, then you go on view lists, you will see my list. There you should find my PLAVE updates list. I put on here my favorite accounts that I know post translation, and there's also one account that posts in Korean, but you can just hit on the translate button in Twitter and you can also see what they say. I know some of you might feel a little bit apprehensive about going on to Twitter, which, you know, fair enough. It is, in my opinion, the fastest way to get real-time PLAVE updates, because there are multiple fans to do it. If like one fan is just like, you know, on vacation, bored, doesn't want to do it, someone else typically will. Also, if you work for the company, please scroll, because like, don't tell anyone I told you this, but they also share like concert clips and stuff, so anyway, pretend I didn't say that. Anyway, on TikTok there are also translator accounts, so if you're a more experienced fan and you have some favorite accounts, tag them in the comments. There are also a lot of amazing fans that compile and translate a lot of things on YouTube, but I would hope that you are capable enough to search for PLAVE English sub on YouTube. Like, you don't need me to hold your hand for that. Oh yeah, on Twitter you will also see like their best bubble messages, so even if you haven't bought the tickets, you can still enjoy them. Like, you won't get every single bubble message translated, because sometimes they also don't say anything like super interesting. You know, a lot of the bubble messages are like just, hi, how are you? Did you sleep well? Did you eat well? Blah, blah, blah. But things like that one time that Noah went on Bubble and said like, hey everyone, Bambi and Unho are working out in front of me and they don't wear any shirts. Of course we're gonna share that. Like, of course we have to update on the newest NOS patch reports. Now, these were all of my tips to keep up with PLAVE, even if you don't speak Korean. But I'll be honest with you, it is a lot more fun the more Korean you know. And I know studying Korean may sound a little bit daunting. Like, again, it's not mandatory, but it really does make things easier and more fun. Like, the Korean writing system is probably the easiest writing system in the world. Like, you can knock it out in like under an hour. And then the grammar and the pronunciation is in general pretty straightforward. My biggest issue is just that there are so many dang words. Also, if you come from a language that doesn't really have like these... If you also don't come from a language that uses relational pronouns, like, they don't really say you, he, she, they say like teacher, older brother, younger sister. Like, that's how they refer to each other. It can get a little bit confusing sometimes. But overall, I think studying Korean is pretty manageable, especially with the resources that we have right now. And you just need to find out like what mode of learning and studying works the best for you. HowToStudyKorean.com is my personal recommendation for everyone who loves to study autonomously. meaning you like to do it at your own pace, in your own time, with your own amount. Because while the units are, of course, portioned, this is not a game. This is just a resource. It's a website. But it's incredibly well explained because it uses English as like your starting point. So it references English grammar and stuff like that, and they also have it translated in various other languages. Essentially, it uses a lot of language transfer, so you don't need to learn stuff quite from scratch. However, if you don't really like reading or learning from books, this probably might not be the one for you, and you might enjoy video formats more. But again, because this is how I learned Korean, I don't really know what videos to recommend to you. So maybe if any of the other fans have their own Korean study recommendations, feel free to leave them below. But regardless of what you want to do, I just want to take the moment to say thank you to all of the fans that spent so much time translating content, captioning content, editing it, making it funnier, and then posting it for all of us to see. They really shape and make the fandom experience so much better. And it's kind of crazy, like, we as fans, we get spoiled so much by the group, but we also get spoiled by each other. Man, being a PLAVE fan is so fun. PLAVE has 5 members, and literally I still vividly remember the first time I heard PLAVE say, "Yep, buddy! Lightweight buddy!" And I was like, what the hell does that mean? Why are they saying, "yeah, buddy"? And I remember I thought to myself, like, oh, maybe it'll make more sense as I get to know them, because like I was really new to PLAVE back. However, it is like forever in one of their songs. In the song Why, you can hear it in the background at some point. I think one of them goes like, "yeah, buddy." Anyway, I didn't find out what it meant and like where it was from watching alone, so eventually I googled it, and imagine the surprise on my face when I learned that this is from this guy. His name is Ronnie Coleman. He's a professional bodybuilder, and that was how I found out that Noah was really obsessed with bodybuilding. Anyway, lucky you don't have to struggle like me to find out what these words mean, because there's this amazing resource made by PLAVE fans called the PLAVE Glossary. As you can see here up top, it's made by the lovely Puldong Nuna, Mandididi, and Doba Mandu. This is a really, really good resource for all the new fans, or also older fans who are just confused about a few things. So let me guide you through some of the sections. You can navigate between the sections here at the bottom in the app, or sometimes when you open it in the browser, it'll be on the top. The first section is about general terms used in K-pop for all the people who are completely new to K-pop. The second section are PLAVE like insider lingo. So phrases and words that they have coined or that they really like to use and what they mean. I scrolled down all the way to the bottom and it's over 100 entries. That's crazy. But because PLAVE keeps making up new stuff like almost every day, it can be really difficult to keep up. So even for fans who are not necessarily new, this can be a really helpful resource. Then the fans also coin terms all of the time. So here are a few of them. Wait, looking at these, I also didn't know a few of them. See, you learn something new all of the time. And then there are 2 separate sections for the pair or unit name, as well as the ship names. For those of you who don't know, in the fandom, it is basically a rule that you separate them. Like, it's okay if you want to ship them, but we use separate names so that fans who don't want to see ship stuff, they can avoid it, but also the group themselves can avoid it. Over the years, the group themselves have come up with a bunch of variations of unit names, and it can get really confusing about like which one is which. So when you talk on the official channel, make sure that you use these kind of unit names. And it's really, really important that you don't mix them either, because else that would defeat the purpose. Then there's a section of important dates. They don't update this anymore, but it's still a really good resource. The next big date that's coming up is their anniversary in March. And lastly, there's a really handy do's and don'ts section. Because PLAVE attracts fans from all kinds of fandoms, I think it can get a little bit confusing as to how to behave correctly. So this is really, really useful. And it really helps making sure that everyone has a good time in the fandom. To find the link, you can either go to Puldong Nuna's account on X or Twitter and look in the highlight tab. Or you can go into the search function of X and search for PLAVE glossary. It should pop right up. Thank you for all the translator please who make this experience so much better. Let me kiss you. With consent. Possible combination of 2 or 3 members is a beloved unit that has its own name. So as a new fan, it can get a little bit confusing. But don't worry, I'm about to talk your ear off about every single one of them. But before I start, I want to preface this by saying that unit names are not the same as ship names. Most of you probably know what ship means, but just in case you don't, to ship one or more members means to look at them from a romantic lens, like they're a couple or something, and this is strictly a fan activity. Units, however, are an official thing endorsed also officially by PLAVE themselves. PLAVE themselves refer to each other and themselves with unit names, essentially just talking about 2 or 3 members put together in a strictly platonic way. It is important to me that you differentiate between ship and unit, and that when you do want to talk about ship, that you use the fan-made ship variants of their names individually as well as the ships that you want to talk about. The reason why this is important, and that, for example, you only use official unit names on their official accounts, on their live stream chats, is that PLAVE themselves actually have said multiple times that they actually also browse through social media and the internet, and we as fans want to avoid showing them things that might cross their boundaries. Also, fans who may not be that interested in shipping can also avoid the content, and on the flip side, if you are interested in shipping, you can find people who are like-minded. You can find all the ship name variants as well as the name variants in the glossary that is in the caption. It's the video of the comment that I'm replying to. It's really not hard at all, so I definitely want to encourage you to take a look and to do your best to stick to it so that everyone can have a good time. Now let's get into the unit! I think the easiest way to explain this is to start with the 3 lines, ye line, no line, and pum line, and what they actually mean. First of all, what is a line? I think a line can be best described as like a fan club of a specific member, but the only people that can join the fan club are other PLAVE members. So it's not a big fan club. In an interview last year, one of the staff members of the company talked about how the lines came to be thanks to Unho. It was his suggestion to turn it into content, essentially. The prefixes no, ye, and bam obviously stand for Noah, Yejun, and Bambi, and I think the real first emergence of a line was ye line. In the beginning of PLAVE, not all of them were immediately comfy and familiar with each other. Especially Hamin was very shy and reserved because he was also the last one to be added to PLAVE. However, very quickly, if not instantaneously, he became very attached to Yejun, and it was very clear that he adored Yejun very much. He would often say things like, "Yejun Hyung, I'm your fan," or things like, "Oh, I feel so bad for our fans because they don't get to see you as much as I do." So with this, the Yejun fan club with its number 1 fan, Yu Hamin, was founded. Bambi, however, wasn't really interested in any of this, and Noah would never be under anyone's boot. And he was like, you know what, I need my own little fan club. But the only person left was Unho. And in one of the funniest live streams they've ever made, Noah and Yejun basically came together to fight over custody for Unho. At that time, he didn't show any favoritism towards either one of them. I'm not gonna spoil too much, but this lovely fan subbed it luckily. However, I do think it's a little bit like for advanced fans because it is funnier the more you know about them. But as most of you probably know, the winner ended up being the one and only Han Noah. And Eunho really played the part. He loves being a no-line, and I think what's so cute when you watch that highlight video and you watch then later videos of them especially laughing together, their laughs became so eerily similar. One time Noah was sick and he actually didn't have a mic on, I think, on that stream. But when he was watching back a live stream, he was like, why does it sound like I'm laughing? Is that my laugh? And it turns out it was Eunho laughing. Anyway, Bambi also didn't want to miss out, so he said you guys, I also have a line. I have Bam line. But no one was left to join his fan club. So yeah, Bam line is only Bambi. But they're having a lot of fun with the concept of these lines. So there have been live streams where they were betting one of the fan club members or the entire fan club itself on like whoever loses has to join another line or something like that. So it's not like set in stone at all. The line compositions have undergone changes. Hamin, for example, was a solo stray cat for some time, but that's a story for another day. One variation of the units are according to their roles in a group. For example, Yejun, Eunho, and Noah are also called the producers because they produce the music. And on a similar note, Hamin and Bambi make the choreography, so they are referred to as dance line or short denla. Actually, let me move. This picture is so cute. Oh, I thought I didn't save a picture of the producers. Look at them. They're so cute. Another incredibly popular unit are the two oldest brothers of PLAVE, of course. And that's why they're called matyangs. And mat means like the last, or like the oldest in this case. And in English, you will sometimes find it spelled as mad hyungs, but it's not like mad, like angry. It's mat, like old, like Korean. They're literally besties. They've known each other way before PLAVE. Noah was also the first one that Yejun called, like, to form PLAVE. Another incredibly popular unit is yatas, and yatas comes from yata, which is Korean for like, hey, get on, and it's from their scene in the Wait for Love music video where Eunho shows up on the motorcycle and is like, and like motions to Bambi to get on the bike. And they refer to that scene as like the yata scene, and that's why the two of them are called yatas. They are also besties. Well, I don't know if besties, but they've known each other for many years. And obviously they're very close. They're known for bickering a lot, but I think like if you don't know that both of them are actually incredibly polite people, like it's very, very important to them to be polite and nice, that the fact that they can be so comfortable with each other to be at each other's throat like this actually speaks volumes. Another very popular unit is Yejun and Bambi. Together they form berries because they are berry colored. And Yejun will sometimes refer to himself as Hyunga berry. And Hyunga is how children say Hyung in Korean, so it's like there's some sort of cuteness to it. And similarly, he will refer to Bambi as 동생 berry, like little sibling berry. Another unit is called literally pretties, and I think it makes sense why. In Korean, they are referred to as bunline, and bun comes from yeppen, or like 예뻐, which means pretty in Korean. And then we have Hamin and Noah, and they are typically referred to as nyangnyangs, because Noah is often referred to as cheese cat, and Hamin is obviously a cat. Their counterpart are puppies. Eunho because he's literally a dog shaped like a man, and Yejun because he also has dog-like qualities. In Korean, they are called dengdengs, because deng is a way to say dog, like in a cute way. Lastly, my personal favorite duo, which are Hamin and Eunho, and they are usually referred to as maknaes. Like, maknae means youngest because the two of them are the youngest. However, this is also kind of used in other K-pop groups, so it's not really established. And they've been trying to find other names. In Korean, they are usually referred to as daengnyangs, but it kind of doesn't work that well in English. Another recently emerged name from the fandom is anaj, and it comes from na ana, which means hug me, because Hamin told a story where one time Eunho just looked at him and like spread his arms and was like, hug me. The trios don't have quite as established names, but these three, because they're No-line, Ye-line, Bam-line representatives, are also called sujangs, which is Korean for like chiefs. And I personally call these three No-line plus, where Hamin is recruited to No-line against his will. Anyway, I'm literally out of time. What's your favorite unit? And tell me why you like them. Come find out with me if 10 minutes are enough to talk about every single PLAVE unit. And there are 10 of them. Why would I do that? Because I like them very much. As a refresher, a unit refers to any combination of members in a non-romantic way. But today I'm only going to talk about duos. Also, if you need it, I made a video explaining all of the unit names, which you can get to right here. Anyway, the unit that I've been really enjoying these days is Noah and Eunho, because they literally are like, I love this bro. Like, this is my favorite bro. Like, this guy rocks. You can tell that they appreciate each other so much. Like, the one time that they invited a guest to get a color analysis done, they were asked if purple is a warm color or a cool tone color. And Eunho jumped up and was like, purple is a warm color because purple is the color of Noah, and Noah is a warm person. And it's also not just that Eunho will always stand up for him. Like, Noah is such a good, just like, listener. Like, he will always listen to Eunho and will always react to him. And if you know anything about Eunho, you know that he does not stop yapping. One of my favorite stories is actually that at the end of like hanging out or work or something, Eunho pushed everyone that was like standing around aside, like with his hands, to make his way through the crowd to Noah, because he really wanted to show Noah his outfit, and he was like, what do you think of my outfit? And not only is that hilarious, Noah was also like, I like your outfit. However, if you put Hamin and Noah together, it's a whole different vibe. They act like they cannot stand each other, and they tease and bully each other quite a lot. But at the same time, they make each other laugh incredibly hard. And Hamin will always notice when Noah is hurting and offer him a massage. Or like, I don't even think he asks, he just massages him. And Noah will buy anything that Hamin asks for without even asking about the price, even though he will complain about it afterwards. And then he will do it again. Noah also seems to really like hanging out at Hamin's place, which, to be honest, I can't really blame him for it, because he talked about how if you visit Hamin in his apartment, you legitimately don't have to lift a finger, because he will do anything and he will do everything. And it's not just Noah who loves to visit him. Yejun and Hamin also have sleepovers all of the time. And it seems like from all of them, they live the closest together. One of my favorite stories is when Yejun was doing like his evening routine on Bubble, where he would talk about like, yeah, how was your day? Have sweet dreams, blah, blah, blah. And then in the middle of it, he messaged like, oh, someone's at my door. It's Hamin. And then he talked about that he will tuck him into bed. You can tell they really like taking care of each other. One of the things that also makes me laugh so much is when Yejun last year finally started working out. Hamin actually helped him kind of get on track and like get used to it. And after every workout session, Hamin would either buy him or prepare him something delicious to eat. And it just makes me laugh so much that he trained him like a little dog. There are also some clips that you should look for when they were just like fresh. And it was like, I think even one of the first live streams that the two of them did together, where Hamin just kept talking about how much of a fan he is of Yejun and how he feels sorry for the fans that they can't like see him the way he does. Oh my god, there's also a story of after the first fan concert, like after the second day, they all of them had, of course, a big after party, and Yejun and Hamin went home together, I assume. And as they were walking, Yejun like drunkenly pointed to a patch of grass, and he was like, "This is a famous spot. Like, we need to lay down and just like chill here." And Hamin was like, "Okay." And so they laid down, and they were watching the stars. And Hamin was like playing music, and he was just talking about like how he's so grateful and just like pouring out his feelings. And then he turns to the side. And he just sees Yejun snoring. And this is so funny to me. Now, Yejun and Bambi have a bit of a different dynamic. You can tell that both of them think the other person is so cute. First of all, Bambi, well, all of PLAVE, but Bambi especially, look up to Yejun so much. If you go and watch that one Last Go episode where they talk about what their resolutions are for the new year, so many of them, especially Bambi, had some that were inspired by Yejun. And there was also a time where he talked about getting all of his wisdom teeth removed because Yejun got all of his wisdom teeth removed. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Yejun also bought these like slippers, and then Bambi was like, I also want these slippers. Like, it's so like little brother, big brother. Oh my god. Bambi will also always come to his defense, though I do have to say Bambi tends to come to the defense of everyone. He's like their little mini lawyer. And despite all of that adoration and loyalty, Yejun will still yield to his dopamine addiction and betray Bambi in the name of laughter and entertainment time and time again. And I think that's also why Yejun describes Bambi as innocent, even though Bambi is like the culprit of a lot of like very sus moments. But like Bambi is just so honest. It's like, it's really hard to scheme with Bambi because he will just tell the truth. And that honesty is a core ingredient in this chaotic duo. Like these two very much have Tom and Jerry energy. But I think like if you only look at them superficially, you might not know that they are actually a lot sweeter with each other than one might think. Like you have to really understand that both of them are very, very polite people, and it's really, really important to them to be polite. So for the two of them to be so annoying to each other actually is much more of a testament of just how much they trust each other. Also, what I noticed is that on like Weavers, on like the fan cafe, they are really, really sweet to each other. What I also find kind of crazy is that sometimes they will speak for each other because they know each other so well. That there was one time where someone asked what the food is that Eunho is currently into, and then Bambi responded and said udon, and Eunho was like, yeah, it's udon. Now, if Yejun is the older member that Bambi thinks is cuter than him, Noah is the one that he thinks is weirder than him. And it tickles me because I know that Noah also thinks that way about Bambi. Like, I just know they look at each other and they think to themselves, thank God, I'm so normal compared to him. And both of them are super introverted, which is demonstrated by the fact that it wasn't until recently that they finally had a meal together and hung out, just the two of them. And to be honest, I really love watching them warm up to each other because, like, especially Bambi, who really respects older people, he is slowly but surely warming up to Noah and, like, actually dares to also be playful with him. Now, with Eunho and Yejun, one story I love in particular was that Eunho talked about how grateful he was one time, like, before everything with PLAVE was happening. He really needed some money and asked Yejun if he could give him some money for lunch. And Yejun, without hesitating, was like, of course. It turns out that that was also Yejun's last little bit of money. And now they're very happy that they don't have to worry about money quite as much anymore. Now, these two got something going on that is beyond our comprehension, probably. They don't really argue on camera, but instead, Yejun will twist the reality to fit Noah's narrative. You can tell that they're really close because for example, with their covers, usually they try to keep them a little bit of a secret, but it's no matter which one, each one of them know of each other's covers first. When Noah revealed his cover for his birthday, Yejun already knew that he did that, so they consult each other quite a lot. And then the other thing is also that when Noah has any issues with the group or any concerns, he will always go to Yejun first, and like they consult with each other and think about like how to progress as a group. Now, you probably know that Hamin and Eunho are my favorite unit because they are so cute and affectionate. Their stories together range from hanging out after a show and them going together to the sauna and like then gaming, to Eunho asking for a hug without using words, to a conversation where they were encouraging each other and ended up holding hands for like 10 minutes without realizing. And they totally have this energy of just like the older brother who always wanted a younger brother and the younger brother who's just so excited to be here. Eunho has a fictional little brother that he just drew a character. And when Hamin found out, he was like, what do you mean you have another younger brother? I'm your younger brother. Now, Hamin is very much a baby, and he seems to be so much of a baby to everyone except to Bambi. When it's the two of them, it almost feels like the roles are reversed. And I think like Hamin also has said that before, that he feels like Bambi is like the fake youngest. Because to this day, I'm still laughing about that time that Hamin asked Bambi to do that one accidental aegyo on 3 separate occasions on camera. Well, one of them was a radio appearance. But he could not get over that moment, and he was like, Bambi, can you do it one more time? The two of them also influence each other positively. For example, Hamin has said that he used to prefer like very minimalist decor, like basically no decor at all, until he got to know Bambi's apartment, and Bambi likes decorating his apartment and likes having like a vibrant space to live in. And since then, Hamin was also like, you know what, let me do that too. My God, this was so hard trying to keep it short.